Well, hi there. It is the quarter to 11 at night and time to show up. It's actually well past time to show up by like, I don't know, 12 hours or so. But I'm showing up, finally. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance. Like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And let's shit in the box. So I've been procrastinating all day because there's a thing that I need to do that I've been putting off for months. And it's a thing I only do every several months anyway, which is I redraw the same picture from reference every so often to demonstrate to myself that yes, I am in fact improving, that I am getting better at art, that it is a matter of progress, that as I continue to work on my art, I am improving. If you don't do this, then you become convinced that you're not getting any better, that indeed your art is getting worse, and that you suck. This happens to everybody I've ever met. Every artist I've ever known is convinced. They go, oh, I haven't drawn in like weeks. I probably suck now. I'm probably no good at it anymore. It's never been true of anybody. And it's clearly not going to be true of me, but our brains are really kind of fucked up in weird ways that won't let us just casually accept that, you know, I'm kind of good at this. And because of that, we constantly deal with this, with the imposter syndrome and with the difficulty of seeing our own progress, of seeing that we're better at things, and really, it's fairly easy for me to see that I'm better at things. I mean, if I just come in here and I come in and go, I'm just going to pick. Doesn't matter which layer this is on, but you can see right here. Ugh, that's the wrong. Okay, so you can see here that I can draw these nice thin lines, but without altering the size of my pen, I can draw these big thick ones. And the reason I can do that is because of touch sensitivity and because I've been working on the sensitivity of my touch. There's a lot of stuff that I can do with line weight and line dynamics that I could never do before. But I've been working on it for a long time, and I can do these long, thin lines and then jump in and do a thicker one. And I can do a thick one that thins down, and I can do a thin one that thickens up. And these dynamics, working on this, is something that I've put time into. Similarly, there's a thing that I like to do where I just kind of draw like little dots on the screen, and you can draw them anywhere, and then you just like draw smoothly among the dots. And sometimes this is harder than other times, especially when you have a very sharp kind of curve. And controlling your line dynamics as you go through it can be really instructive. But if you just kind of go around those dots, if you just go, I'm going to follow this curve, you just go through all of your dots, try it in both directions, try it in different ways. Maybe do it in a different order. Doing that develops these skills and these abilities that you can then put together into something larger. Going from thick to thin and back to thick again is tough. I should work on that more. That's definitely something I need to spend more time doing. And what I'm doing right now is just kind of warming up and just kind of getting myself ready to jump in and work from that same piece of reference that I've used over and over again. To check up on myself. And I don't think I'm ever going to stop feeling that imposter syndrome and that general idea of I must have gotten worse over the past several weeks or months. But I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to go back to my my current. Now this is let me show you. First of all, this is what I did about, I don't know, a year and some months ago, and it's not great. And this is what I did several months ago, and it's better. You know, let me actually. Let me move this whole thing over. I'm going to look at all three of them right next to each other. Let me get this right there. Then we'll turn on the first comparison. But we still need to scoot this over a bit. But you can see that there's a distinct improvement. There's a distinct difference between the one farthest to the left, which is the oldest one, and the one in the middle, which is more recent. Neither of them is spot on, but you can see that there is a real improvement. There's a real difference in the way things are done, particularly if you look at, scroll up here, I go to the notes layer, and if you look here in particular, if you look here, right? If you look at that space in the original and in this, you can see that I did a much better job on the more recent version. There's still a lot of stuff that I got wrong, and you could see that, like, the edge of this vest here, I actually did a better job longer ago, and I've always missed the subtlety of that. I specifically didn't get it very well there. But this whole thing of you've got to try to go back and have a look at what you've been doing and see if you've gotten better. And a hand in particular is that is absolute garbage, and it's always absolute garbage. It really is, because it's just like if I turn off the most recent one, you see that the older one is worse. I've definitely gotten better between those two, but there are also issues with everything, and there's always going to be issues. The issues move around. Sometimes you get something right and then you don't focus on it as much, and you get it wrong. You just don't focus as much as you should have. So it's kind of where I'm coming into this is I'm looking at this and I'm going, and I need to jump into this, and I need to try and I need to do a new sketch, and we can start with kind of the gesture. And I'm using a very large sort of brush, and I'm just kind of roughing in on a sketch layer what it is that I want to do. And I want to do a better job on the widths. I have trouble with widths. Like if I look here and I kind of measure on the, I kind of measure across that, I've got, it's way too narrow on that. So if I do that right there, and I just kind of, I can jump over to my notes layer and I can just draw. I can go dot, and I can draw a straight line, and then I can drag this over. And you can see I've made the waist substantially too wide. It is like, it's much too wide. I put the edge right there. I go, yeah, this is going to be my edge here. Then it needs to be substantially smaller than that. So I got to think in those lines, and let me scrub that a little bit. Scrub that a little bit. So we've got right here. We got right here this this area. So we got the waist here. But that here, that should come almost straight down. The edge of the vest comes across like so. That really needs a steeper angle. Making it a steeper angle is really a good way to kind of get the sense of it. Here's the shading on that. Shading is very strong edged there, and then it's kind of light up and around this there, then the edge of the shirt, and then we've got the edge of the skirt. Only comes around to about there. This gets the sweep outward. This gets a smaller sweep outward. And if I kind of sort of measure in there, then I've actually come in a little bit short. Get that. Let's move this over a little bit because we're going to need more space. Not too close. Okay, yeah, that's about right. That's too high up. That should be. Let me just scoot it over with the arrow keys a little. That's about right. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. Go back to our sketch. Down here to about there, and there's a edge we've got. And here, there's the elbow there, elbow there. That comes down, and we've got the bulge of the hand there. Try and keep this a little bit sketchy on the way. That's not as far as it. I'm not doing a very good job here. So get back down a little bit, and let's go back to our horsehair brush. Go to our horsehair brush, and we'll go. start by doing the curve of the head. Curve of the head, very circular. Here, there's some hair that comes down there, and there's that bit. Here's the neck, collar. I'm probably not going to do this whole thing. Camera. This is just a sketch anyway. Prove it dramatically. See, I'm fucking this up left and right. Just let's start from the hand. Up. That. Straight up. And straight up. Here we're going to swoop inward. Up just a bit. I'm kind of getting bound up in details here. But here we have the edge of the sleeve. That comes, got this kind of inward sweep there. And you see here, I've gotten everything kind of out of whack. I'm not doing a very good job. I'm really not doing a very good job here. Let's go with some basic construction. We'll say here's the head. Gonna rest there. Here's the jawline. Here's the ear, and then we've got the neck comes down here. Shoulders. First arm there. Other shoulder over here. We've got another arm that comes down here. We are not overly concerned with this. Comes substantially outward. Chest is ridiculous. I'm really not doing well on the width. You can see here that I consider the width. This really needs to that really needs to come out substantially. We've got this kind of swoop here coming in. There would be a leg. And here's the waist. There would be another leg here, underneath of the skirt. We've got this kind of swoop upward. Here we have this kind of, we have this projecting chest. She's kind of lifting it up. emphasize bust line. And we get the same basic here. This is the sort. God. See, this is still just like way too short. That's like half what it needs to be. That's what I need to work on, really. About right, that looks better. That's a little bit wide. I'm not having a good time here. And it's not that I am doing a bad job. It's that I'm being very rough on myself as I go. See, that's too big. Yeah, that's substantially too big. This is very frustrating. So what if I just focus on, you know what? What if I do flat color first? What if, okay, first let's go to our palette and let's go. We're going to grab some, we're going to grab this color here, and we're gonna put a little palette up here. Got this kind of light green, which is our highlight color in the hair, and then we've got this kind of medium green. You know what? I don't like that. I want to try and match that color. It's somewhere in here. I think we're something around this space here. Not about right? That looks about right. How close am I? Ooh, I'm too dark. Over. What's that? No, it's a little bit too saturated. There we are. Okay. I'll save that. Now, the darker one here, the little darker shade. Looking at that, I want to go green like that. Yeah. Something more like that. So that's kind of our mid-tone there, and then we want to go green direction for that. A little darker. That. Too dark. Saturate a bit. All right. There's kind of our deep color. Now the skin sits somewhere around here. Close. Saturate a little darker. Oh. Pink. Yeah, that's close. That's very close. So now we want to go a little bit more red. We want to go a little bit less, more saturated, a little darker. I'll try and get the, need to be substantially more. That's saturated enough. Still not saturated enough. Looking to that. We want to go. That's not bad. That's close. Close enough. Okay. And does it look on that? A little bit deeper. And darker there. There we are. That's good. Now we want to go with our white. This one right here, and that's actually want that to be more in the blue area. Somewhere around here. Something right about too dark. Still too dark. Dark enough. Desaturate darker. You know what? More in the blue area. There we go. That's about right. So there's our kind of shadow there, and then we can brighten that up right there. Yeah, there. Kind of a mid-tone, and then we go almost all the way white right there. That look. A little bit closer right there. How's that? Oh yeah. All right. Now we need this yellow. Kind of an orange, something like there. Right about there. Now we want to redden it up, darken it up. Maybe right there. Saturated. A little more saturated. Darker. That dark. There we are. Got a little bit lower. And okay, we need our pink, which is kind of in the magenta area, right around. All right. White. Hue doesn't look right on. Doesn't seem. Yeah, it seems to be getting some. We're getting close on it. That looks about right. Okay. We got that. And now we'll take that down to about here and more red. Purple. Needs to be more red. Saturated. A bit. You there? No, not quite. That's very close, so I'm going to take it. And then what else do we need? We need this. We need this pink up here. This pink is more like that. Yeah, that's almost exactly right. And then we need the red, darker. So, about roughly. Then we go for that. And, I think that's what we need in terms of a palette. So if that's what we need in terms of a palette, then we jump over to our flat color. And okay, so we're gonna begin with the skirt color, and I'm gonna rough in the shape here. And work from shape instead of from line. Grab the shirt color there. We'll go get the basic shapes here. Working from shapes instead of from lines is something that I sometimes find gives me a better result. So I'm going to try that here. Up and over, there's the top of the arm there. That slopes up. Collar. Neck right in here. Fairly deep shadow, and then we go to the crank that over there. I'm starting off with a fairly rough large to small. Work large to small. Let's get that arm in there. Kind of rough things in. Give ourselves something we can fix. Okay, so that taken care of. Let's base a bit. Get our base hair color. Start roughing in where the hair goes. Long there. Shorter locks here. Head's a little out of control over here. Not so that go. It comes to the ear. There's the ear. Here's the there. Long lock of here. there, shorter line there. Everything comes up and over to the side here. And that allows you to see over here. Guys, about where we will that up a little bit, and let's get the ponytail in, get that flow going. Okay, so we got something going on here. We got a rough look, and we can now that here, and stripe over here that I've covered up with ponytail, and then so we're getting somewhere with this. We're getting to some reasonable semblance of something. I'm still not used to how long stuff takes. I still feel like this should not take as long as take. I've already been doing this for like 45 minutes, and I think the big takeaway so far is that I am much better at the I'm much better at shapes than I am at lines. My line art is just garbage. It's just not very good. Proportions are off on this, definitely, but there's a lot more work I need to do here. Let's pull this over a bit. Got a better look at the actual reference we're working from. And in fact, let's turn off the comparison. I don't need that until I'm done, really. I've made her a little bit tall. This is really this is what I should be doing, is operating from a very kind of broad prospect of, here are the basic colors that I'm working with. I'm going to bail on the video at this point and continue working on this offline, because I don't think this is very interesting to watch. I don't think. It's just kind of a, you could see me actually doing the work, and I think that matters. I think it's important to get some idea of what the struggles are working on something like this. That's really all I'm good for, is showing you the struggles. I can't show you how to do a good job. I can just show you how to try. But hey, that's useful. Again, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Okay, bye.